First of all,
this is the B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
It might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The B.S. Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the show. We have a special holiday guest this week. We're still about 4 months away from March Madness, but I couldn't resist having this guy on. Right now he's doing play-by-play for NFL games on CBS and Knicks games on MSG. But more importantly, he's emerged as the signature voice of March Madness. And if that's not enough, he mediated an ugly feud between me and Isaiah Thomas. Gus Johnson, when are you getting your Nobel Peace Prize?
You know what? I'm waiting for it right now. My son is trying to get in the United Nations school, so hopefully by helping you, we may have a leg up on getting into Eunice, man.
Yeah, that was an interesting day because I ran into you and we've met each other a couple of times where we talked to each other, and it was just funny that we ran into each other in Vegas at this blackjack pool, and then you're like, "Hey, you got to meet Isaiah." And I was like, I'm not sure that's a good idea. And then, so you went and talked to him. You came back, and for the first time in my life, a somber Gus Johnson. I didn't like a somber Gus Johnson because you're such a happy guy.
Yeah, but I had been made fully aware at that particular moment of what had transpired. So, I didn't even know you guys had that kind of beef with each other.
Yeah, it's all good though. But so then. Not only that, but like 2 months later, didn't you do the Kevin Everett game?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so 2 times in 3 months,
I did.
A somber Gus Johnson. I do not like a somber Gus Johnson. We should try to take great pains to make sure that never happens.
Man, I'm an emotional dude, man. I feel all that stuff, and I was happy though. I really felt a sense of accomplishment after you and Isaiah got together and really had a chance to have a conversation, I thought that was really cool. I was really, to be honest with you, I was really proud of that moment and the role that I played, I was like, man, you can help two guys get together and talk it out and,
what's funny?
Keep it moving,
Yeah, but you know what it proved? It proved that I can get along with literally anybody who loves 80s basketball. Because that's what we ended up talking about. It was just what basketball was like in the 80s and how competitive it was, and just how much it's changed now and how much they've sapped the competitiveness in the league, and you can't look at anybody cross-eyed to get a technical. And back then it was like wars, the teams hated each other.
Yeah.
And I just think he loves talking about that with anybody, so we came to a common ground on that. It was all good. I'm actually saving most of the story for my book.
Oh,
but you're going to get a big part in the book, though. But
I appreciate that.
You know what my biggest regret from that day was, though? It was not convincing you to hang around and do play-by-play for some of my blackjack hands.
You know what? I should have done that. I mean, you guys have me in such a cool spot as the voice of life, and I'm going to take it and run with it as much as possible. Get back to Isaiah. I mean, I think that Isaiah, man, this dude is a great champion.
Yeah,
he's a great champion during a time in which, to be a champion, you really had to be the best. I mean, who's the only guy to ever beat Michael Jordan? Really?
I know. And, it's funny. Like, I was reading about Gary Payton, because he was basically announced his retirement this weekend. And there was an article on ESPN.com where somebody was trying to make the case for Gary Payton over Isaiah. And I just think people have such short memories of this stuff. Like, Isaiah won 2 titles on teams that were built around him. And it's really the only point guard that you could say that about in the last 40 years. But everybody seems perfectly willing to forget this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and then in order to get good, he had to sacrifice his game. He had to sacrifice his scoring. He had to play better defense. When they got Joe Dumars and he started to elevate his game, when they got Mark Aguirre, Mark needed to get touches on the box. When those guys started to emerge, Vinnie Johnson's coming off the bench. They beat the Celtics, the Larry Bird Celtics.
They slayed all the Giants. Yeah, they slayed all the Giants. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so surprising that he's done such, I'm going to say, I know you're not going to agree, but I think he's done a bad job as the GM, and I told him that. But now it's looking like this team, from a talent standpoint, is actually pretty close to being a top 5 team in the East. What do you think is missing with them? You do the games for MSG. What do you think is the one thing they need?
They have no chemistry.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they like each other. They don't hang out with each other. They don't go drink beers with each other. They don't go chase girls with each other. They don't go to clubs with each other when they're on the road. You know, it's,
Right.
you know, instead of and the reason that they're like that is because they don't have one sun to orbit around. It's a bunch of different planets, or, you know, in their own, you know, rotation. Instead of having one planet, one personality, one light, that leader, man. It's all about leadership. They don't have that one guy that everything orbits around, that one guy that keeps it nice and cool and warm. That's also a great player. I mean, that's why Kevin Garnett he's amazing. He's amazing because of his personality and his inclusiveness. He had a great quote. I was looking at Slam Magazine the other day, and I think it was, I don't know who Kevin Garnett is with, Nike or Adidas or whatever. And on the back of the magazine, Slam Magazine, it said, amazing what you can accomplish when nobody cares about who gets the credit. Kevin Garnett.
Right. Yeah, and that's what this whole Celtics team has been like. They don't care who gets the stats. I actually sat behind, as it was about 5 rows behind the Knicks bench for the Clippers game on Wednesday, and it seemed like the bench guys liked each other, but Marbury, and probably that situation is never going to get worse than it did last week, but the Marbury component was so strange, and nobody else was talking to him, and then you have, Eddie Curry and Zach Randolph. They seem like they're in their own worlds, and it just, you're right. I mean, the chemistry seemed like it was off.
Yeah, they need to get, I don't know what it is they need to do. I mean, they need to start talking to each other. It's all about communication, you know, and we as guys sometimes, because we have these big egos, this macho crap. You know, sometimes we do need to take a page from the girls. I mean, and sit down and have a conversation and talk and talk about, you know, what's going on.
Right.
Back about what's going on and how we can improve, you know, our interpersonal relationships with each other. How can we? You have a good day too, sir. I'm getting out of a New York City cab. Sorry about that. Pick it up.
I enjoyed that.
School. Yeah. Pick it up.
That was good.
From school. Hey, can I get a receipt, please?
This is the greatest moment in my podcast history.
Well, you know how these guys are. These guys, they'll get you. They'll take you on the ride if you can. Thank you very, very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Let me ask you this.
Myself from school. Huh?
Let me ask you
Go
this.
ahead.
Do you see Isaiah Thomas working for this franchise on Christmas Day?
Yeah. He's not going anywhere.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, he's the GM and the head coach. Who are they going to hire?
I don't know, but he seemed pretty down in the dumps in the Clippers game. And all season, actually. I think ever since the trial, I just think he looks like he's beaten down a little bit.
Well, he is.
Agree?
He is beaten down, man. I mean, this guy, look at it this way. You know, he got into that stuff with Larry Bird years ago, agreeing with Dennis Rodman. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, he's had a really great reputation. I mean, this guy was on the cover of Forbes.
Right.
As a businessman, when he was a player, he's got this Thomas Popcorn thing, Dale and Thomas Popcorn. He's making millions of dollars with this. They have distribution centers all throughout the Midwest, semi-trucks. I mean, he won two NBA championships with the Pistons. He won a college championship with Bob Knight.
Right.
He's been a winner. So he's sitting there, and he comes to our beautiful little metropolis of New York City, and every positive thing that he's done in his life is being shredded apart.
Right.
So is he down in the dumps? Yeah. You know, he will scream. He's screaming bloody murder about that trial because in his mind he's saying he didn't do anything inappropriate. And the young lady is, has her own way of seeing things, and you know, the jury agreed with how she saw those things. But this is killing this man. So then you come back and you say, well, you know, maybe people will forget about it if he wins some games.
Yeah.
And now he's not winning any games.
Well, you basically described what's happening with the Knicks right now. They have bad chemistry, and they have a coach who's obviously in pain. And that's not a good combination.
Not a good combination.
Yeah,
but
so where does this go?
What I do think is if they can catch themselves, because Zach Randolph is, you know, the funeral for Zach and, having to go back and forth, his grandma dying. I mean, he loved his grandma and she raised him and, they weren't organized from what I understand in terms of, having all those arrangements made. So that's why he had to go back. But him not being there and them not being able to find their rhythm he's a, 20 and 10 guy every night, 5 consecutive double-doubles to start his career as a Knick. I think he's going to play a major role because somebody in that locker room is about to take over. I got a good feeling about it. I got a good feeling that, a guy like Randolph is going to come in there and he's going to play hard. And, there's a tone that's getting ready to be set. They play Golden State tomorrow, so there's an opportunity to snap this losing streak because the Warriors are struggling. So I just think that, the season is still really early in the season. They're going to catch the chemistry, and I think that things are going to be fine. I still believe in these guys.
You know who I think they need to hire as a coach? You. I think they need your good karma. They do. They need a good karma guy.
Yeah, it's all about good positive energy. That's what it is.
Yeah, Isaiah's really, I know he's probably just so bitter about the trial and taking such a beating over the last few years, but he definitely has to step it up, I think, emotionally, because you can see him on the bench. He just looks like he's just been destroyed. And you throw that in with this Marbury thing and everything else, and I don't see it going that well. You've traveled with this team, haven't you, a little bit?
Yeah, I travel with them every day.
Who is the most misunderstood guy in the Knicks, in your opinion?
Marbury.
Really? Marbury?
Yeah.
For what reason?
See, the reason that people always get mad at me because I support Marbury. Let me tell you why I support Marbury. Because I covered him when he was in high school.
Yeah.
I went over to Brooklyn, to Coney Island, and I saw the projects that he came out of. When you get a chance, if you come into the city and you have some time, I'm going to take you over there.
To Coney?
To those projects over there in Coney Island.
I remember I read the last.
No, you got to see that, Billy.
Well, I remember I read the last shot. Well, in the last shot, he was like in 8th grade in that book, and the whole book was about how that those projects were basically falling apart even more than they were.
Hey, man, nobody cares when you're over there. Yeah. I mean, and in order to get out of there, you have to have a selfishness about yourself. Because nobody's going to help you. You don't trust anybody. You think everybody's always trying to play you. They played his brother.
Yeah.
The one that went to Georgia. They played the other one that went to Texas A&M. They played the other one that I think went to St. Francis. You got 3 brothers that come before you, and then all of a sudden you got this prodigy, this child prodigy. They're going to protect him and say, we're going to go for ours because we were taken advantage of in the past.
Yeah.
And if you look at that neighborhood, I mean, nobody wants to come from that. And if you come from that and are able to get out of that and become a multi-millionaire basketball player with businesses and altruistic, you gotta look, he's helped kids, so he has an altruistic side to him as well. I mean, I like him. Nobody roots. That's the thing. The most misunderstood person is Stephon Marbury because what people don't realize, his teammates do not root against him.
Yeah.
People like him on the team. It's just that they know that he comes from a circumstance that he can't help it. That's just how it is when you come from there.
Okay, with all that said, though, I always judge NBA guys by one thing. Would I want to play with them? Would I want to be on the same team with them? Would you want to play with Stephon Marbury?
I would.
Really?
I would. Yeah. He's a dope basketball player. I mean, he can really play. If he just were, if I played with Stephon Marbury, I would be his big cheerleader. And then at the same time, I would try to be hard on him. I would probably be like, listen, man, me and you need to go in the back and fight because you're not playing right.
That'd be interesting.
We need to fight. Yeah, we need to go back in there and and just me and you just knuckle up. So, because you're way too talented. People don't even realize you're way too great of really a good-hearted, soft-hearted person inside that, is a New Yorker and is caught up in all this crap because he's been defending himself and his family and his, in his quest to improve his life and his family's life coming out of the projects in Brooklyn. So that's what I would say. I would love to play with him because he can play. He can really ball and he knows how to play. And my hope for him is that at least one period of time in his basketball career that he has a good run. He's never had a good run. Nothing has ever been stable. He left Kevin Garnett. He went to Jersey, to Phoenix, now to the Knicks. It's always been just a quagmire, a crazy situation everywhere he goes. And I don't think he's the leader. He's not the leader. That's the problem.
Well,
Steph is not the leader.
He had one good year with the Suns in Amari's rookie year that it really looked like they had something going. And then the next year, Amari hurt his knee, and then he got traded to the Knicks that next season. But yeah, you're right. I still think that he needs to go to another team if he's going to reach his potential, and it's unclear if he ever will. But I don't think it's going to happen in New York. I just think too much has happened.
Well, a lot has happened. A lot has happened. But they can turn it around. I mean, things happen. It's the NBA. Like, if they can catch, like the guy that I love on that team more than anybody, my favorite player on the Knicks is David Lee. Because
mine too.
Like, when he's on the floor, my nickname for David Lee is Good Things. Mr. Good Things, I call him.
Right.
Because when he's on the floor, good things happen. He's unselfish. He knows how to pass the ball. He knows Eddie's weaknesses, and he knows how to help Eddie.
Yep.
On defense. He knows how to get the ball to Eddie. His offense is getting better. He's stepping out, hitting like a 13, 14-foot jump shot every blue moon now. He tries to play as hard a defense as he can. He doesn't play well against small forwards because he's not quick enough to guard him off the dribble. But he does every little thing. He's a battler.
Yep.
And I just love it when he's on the floor. When he's on the floor, they play better. And that's very ironic. Because, you got this team with all these brothers on this team, and, David Lee is the only white guy on the team, so I'm sure that at times I see him by himself quite often. It's a hard fit. One time he told me, he said, man, he said, I kind of understand what it's like to be the only black guy in a white office.
Yep.
I said, yeah.
It's so funny you bring this up because I went to the game on Wednesday and we were watching David Lee in the huddle trying to figure out who he would hang out with on the team. Like, who does he go to the movies with on a Thursday in Phoenix? And then we decided it would be Malik Rose.
It could be.
I don't know why. It was just, but we were like, imagine him and like Eddie Curry going to Denny's and get breakfast. I don't see that happening for some reason.
Right.
I agree with you. I think David Lee not only is my favorite guy on the team, but I also think one of the reasons they're not doing that well is because they can't find the minutes for him. And he's somebody they need on the floor. And also, you have to love somebody who brought back James Caan's afro from the 70s, that kind of curly afro.
I call him Leif Garrett.
Yeah, it's nice. He seems like a good guy, though. Hey,
no, he's a good guy.
Let's travel back to the late 80s, early 90s. You played baseball in college at Howard University. Mm-hmm. At what point did you decide you wanted to be a broadcaster?
Well, I was playing ball, and actually I was a political science major, so I'm a boys club kid. I grew up in the boys club in Detroit. So what they would do is they would allow you to come home during the summer, because I was playing summer ball, college summer ball in Detroit. I played in a really good league, the Adre League, where some guys from Michigan had a team, Eastern Michigan had a team, Wayne State had a team. I played on the Wayne State team. Henry Ford Community College had a team. So I played in the Adre League in the summer, so I needed a job, so the boys club would help you get jobs. Mm-hmm. So jobs in the field that you were possibly interested in going into. So I got a job, a political science major. I thought maybe, I'll go to law school and try to become a lawyer. So I had a chance to go work at a little law firm, twice a week.
Yeah.
During the summer. And when that was over, and I remember coming home and talking to my mom, and I said, Ma, I don't want to be a lawyer. That's too hard. They work too hard, man. I don't want to do that. I don't think I'd be fulfilled doing that. And then she said to me, she said, well, baby, whatever you do, make sure it's something that you'll jump out of bed in the morning to do, even if it only pays you enough money just to meet your bills. So I went back to college after that summer, and I was just, playing fall ball. Not really playing that much, just my baseball career. I couldn't run. I was the slowest black dude of all time. But I was a good catcher. I was a good receiver, but I had a senior that was in front of me that was just better than me, Eric Nelson ended up getting drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I'm still kind of looking around. So I ran into a guy that was a former baseball player at Howard, Glenn Harris, who's a legend in D.C. as a sportscaster. And I talked to Glenn, who's my fraternity brother too, Kappa Alpha Psi. And I said, what do you think about this sportscasting thing? You do it? He said, I like it. So I walked down. I said, well, how do I get into it? He was like, it's funny. My intern is leaving. If you're interested, walk down to the station and talk to Miss Grimes, and Miss Grimes will, tell you what you need to do. So, long story short, I walked down to the station. The guy that is his intern is getting ready to leave. That was his last day. I got the job that day. It paid $500 a semester, which was great money for me because I was broke all the time. And wow. the guy that had the job, Bruce Spate, he is now the vice president of public relations for the New York Jets. He's my good friend for years. I replaced Bruce. So I went down there, I got into it, then I walked. As soon as I got that job that day, I walked down to the radio station, the student radio station, and said, hey, I'm interested in maybe doing some sportscasts or something. I don't know what I'm doing. And the student GM said, cool, you're the sports director then.
So it was basically all destiny.
Yeah, man. I was blessed.
Though, I do like the idea of you working in a law office.
Oh, no. That's too much work, man. These guys bust their butts.
No, I mean, or doing like law trials or something. Yeah, I don't know. It would have been interesting. You definitely would have been the most entertaining lawyer or law office guy out there. The most energy, at least.
Well, you know what? Maybe what was Blair Underwood's role in that? LA, what was it?
LA Law. Yeah. Even the passionate lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'll be a passionate lawyer.
Yeah. It could have worked.
Again, I don't know. Maybe that's like a passionate lawyer. Does that exist? I don't know.
Nah, probably not. Well, so walk me through the first 10 years of your career in 30 seconds.
Okay, put the clock on it. Waco, Texas, Huntsville, Alabama, Greensboro, North Carolina, Washington, D.C., MSG, the Big East Network, ESPN2, the Canadian Football League, CBS March Madness. Waco, Texas, best experience of my life. My boss, Ray Peters, gave me one of the great quotes of all time. He said, Gus, you got to idiot-proof everything, so know how to do everything so an idiot can't screw yourself up. Huntsville, Alabama, worst period of my life. They renamed me. Instead of Gus Johnson, they called me A.C. Johnson because there was some guy named Gus that was a sportscaster there. They had a rebel flag they had a rebel flag on the morning show set. Needless to say, that was a short trip. Greensboro, North Carolina, great opportunity. I had an opportunity to do the play-by-play for a little team right outside of Chapel Hill called the Graham Red Devils. Travis Rudd was one of the running backs, and he was a good player, and I used to call those games on a telephone. And we only had one telephone, so I would call the games, and then I would pass it to my partner so he could make a comment, and then he would pass it back to me. Needless to say, we had the flu the whole year. So then I get to D.C. I'm working in D.C. That's cool. Channel 5, Steve Buckhantz, who I interned for. He was my mentor from a high level. And then I ended up having a chance to move to MSG after I dropped the tape off at Madison Square Garden on my way back from the train station. And by the time I got back to D.C. from New York, I had a call from Mike McCarthy, and he was offering me a job.
Well, at what point did you just say, you know what, screw it? I get excited during these games. I'm just letting loose.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's funny that you asked me that question because, I don't understand any other way.
Right.
Because I call the game the way me and my boys would watch the game when we were in the dorms. We watch everything is ooh and ah, and we're sitting there talking and we're arguing and we're second guessing but we're excited because we want our team to win. The Detroit Pistons was my team. The Detroit Lions are my team. The University of Michigan, the Detroit Tigers, those are my teams, Yep. So I wanted my teams to win. And I'm excited to see them do well because when they do well, it's like I do well. That's how it goes. So when I first started doing games, I wasn't smart enough, I think, to realize that I had to not let it go. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And now that's what people like and that's what people hate, which I think is very interesting.
Well, don't listen to people who hate. Did anybody try to rein you in at any point?
Not really. You know,
That's
I read the stuff though. You know, we all read. You know, no matter what you say, guys, everybody that has something written about them is reading it. And I read the guys that, kill me, that say that I'm, stop screaming at me and all that kind of stuff. And to me, in my mind, I'm like, dang, it's a football game. Aren't we supposed to be excited about? I know it's not the Super Bowl. And here's the criticism that bothers me. They say, hey, it's not the Super Bowl. It's not a playoff game. Why is he so excited? It's Cincinnati and Cleveland in 97.
Right.
But for the people that live in Cincinnati and for the people that live in Cleveland in 97, every week their team hits the floor or hits the field, and it's the Super Bowl for them. That's my mentality. I've called a lot of bad games, so I have to make sure that mentally I trick my mind to make everything important. I had a chance to take some acting classes, and what my teacher showed me was you have to, in your acting with each line, be able to raise the stakes to build drama, because how do you build drama? Conflict equals drama. So you try to identify the conflicts in the game and build them up to make it a dramatic moment once it pops.
Yep.
And I don't care who's playing. Me and you could be playing one-on-one, and there could be some things happening. And if I'm calling the game and me and you are playing one-on-one, there's going to be some things that happen in our one-on-one game that's going to make it a conflict. And then once that conflict is there, we got drama. Say I foul you hard, or, you give me an elbow, then all of a sudden you see on my face, oh, this guy elbowed me. Okay, I'm about to go mess him up now, So then there you got a game. You got some conflict, and you got some dramatic moments, and they play out that way.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons people like you is because you're genuine. And, I don't think I would like it if I felt like you were intentionally, ratcheting it up or whatever, but you're not. I really think you're genuinely excited by the game. Would you agree?
I love ball, man. Yeah. I love games. I love games that people play. I think the games that people play tell us a whole lot about ourselves. If you look at this Knicks team tells us a lot about, a dark side of us as human beings, about our selfishness, about our insecurities, about, our inability to connect with each other on the most basic levels. Because that's why the Boston Celtics are playing so well, because that one kid, that Kevin Garnett guy, is able to grab everybody and allow everybody to connect with each other on the most basic levels of just being friends and just having an opportunity to enjoy one another's company in the workplace. That, allows it to be a nice environment. That's what really this sports stuff is about. It tells us about who we are as human beings and what we're able to accomplish, and it allows us to have a benchmark for our accomplishments and when we go above and beyond or when we fall below.
Well, other than college hoops, I think your best sport is boxing. Because I've heard you do some fights on MSG, and I just thought it was the perfect level of excitement with what was actually happening. Now, what needs to happen for you to start getting assigned to some big-time fights? Because I am absolutely willing to frame Jim Lampley for a murder or something if you want me to do that.
Oh, no, Jim Lampley.
I will. I'll do it.
No.
You say the word. I know people.
Good luck on getting Jim Lampley in some trouble. He's way too smart for that, and he's a tremendous announcer.
Yeah, but we've had him for 20 years. Let's get rid of Jim Lampley, and we'll put you in.
But, I've had some opportunities, but my schedule wouldn't allow me. I had a chance to have some opportunities with Showtime. With Showtime and HBO in the past. I had a chance to talk to the gentleman over at HBO, Rick, and, there was a time in which he was going to give me a shot to do some boxing after dark stuff, but the people at CBS, they were like, hey, we'll let you do it, but as long as it doesn't interfere with what we have to do. And the timing just didn't work out. We couldn't get it right. But what
about this mixed martial arts?
I had a chance to do some mixed martial arts too with Showtime, and was all set to do it. Same situation. They're going to have a show once a month or twice a month, and I got to do an NFL game on Sunday, and they may be in, God knows where on Saturday, Texas or some remote part of California, and I can't get out and get to the game. So it just hasn't worked out timing-wise yet, but I really feel down the road that it will. I was doing some Broadway boxing with Lou DiBella on MSG and some MSG boxing, and I love boxing. probably my favorite sport because it's the sport that me and my father will watch the most. So,
did you like the Hitman growing up?
Oh, come on, everybody was Kronk. Tommy Hearns, Hilmer Kenty, Milton McQuarrie. My father. I grew up hearing the story about Joe Louis knocking out Max Schmeling because in his neighborhood at that time they were all sitting around the radio because only one person in the neighborhood had a radio to hear the fight, and they said that after the fight was over, man, people just poured out into the street. African American people in the hood, and they poured out in the street and celebrated that Joe was able to beat Max Schmeling the way he did so quickly, and how he represented our country, and in turn represented us as we as African American people are proud people and deserve to be considered as citizens of this country just as much as anyone else. Yeah,
how has there not been a Joe Louis movie yet? I don't think there has.
I mean, there have been a couple, but they haven't.
No, but I mean recently.
They're not good. They're not good. Yeah. It's a hard story to tell.
You were talking about the Hitman. I was just thinking we're kind of like natural enemies a little bit because I was a big Sugar Ray Leonard guy, and I'm a big Celtics guy, and you were a big Pistons guy and a big Hitman guy. So we should not get along.
Oh, no. That's a healthy
it's amazing.
Rivalry. That's a healthy rivalry. Oh, I can't believe that the people in Boston are doing. Ah, man.
I know. Everybody hates us.
I'm so jealous.
Hey,
I'm so jealous.
Let me ask you, when CBS pulled you off March Madness, except for the first two rounds, there was a really big outpouring on your behalf, especially on the internet where everybody usually gets creamed. We're 4 months away from another March Madness. Are you still doing the first two rounds and that's it?
No, I think, because of you guys, from what I understand, my boss has told me that that's not going to be a problem anymore. So I'm going to keep going all the way through.
Wow, breaking news here on the podcast.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Right.
So you're doing the first 4 rounds?
I'm going to do what I always do, usually all the way through a regional final. That's my understanding. Yeah, man. So
I'm welling up. I'm almost breaking into tears here. This is great. I feel like we made a difference.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you did. I mean, you guys, I got to be honest with you. I'm so thankful to you, Bill. I mean, I don't know why you chose me, but,
what are you talking about?
Changed my life. I'm just saying.
Come on.
With you, man.
No, a lot of people did.
I got to give it up to you. Listen to me. Let me finish. You helped me in my life, and, you brought some light to me and to my work, and it's changed my life, you and your fans, because some of the positive things that have been said about me through you guys, through the Bill Simmons Nation, has turned a lot of heads, man. And I just say, guys, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
There were some other people on the internet who, some other bloggers and stuff who also had your back, I think. But I'm just glad that for once, a network actually listened to the fans and the viewers. And especially like March Madness was just so perfect for you. My other idea with you was that I had a reader suggest a couple months ago that CBS should use you like a closer in baseball, where they just have you in a studio for NFL games and for March Madness. Every time there's a close game, the last 4 minutes, you just come in like Mariano Rivera and you bring us home. So that could work too. That could get you on more events.
Yeah, that could, but I don't think that the other announcers would take too kindly to it. You know what I'm saying? Those guys would end up, beating me up and tying me up and throwing me in the river or throwing me under Giant Stadium like Jimmy Hoffa, man. I mean,
it's a team effort.
Cool thing.
It's a team effort.
Right. Yeah, right. I'm going to say that to Jim Nantz and Greg Gumbel. They're going to smack me around. Are you crazy?
Well, here's what I want from you. I definitely think you need to do WrestleMania every year.
Wow.
I need Triple Crown in horse racing. I think we need to get rid of that guy. He'd take over. I'd like to see you do a couple World Series of Poker. Not all of them, but maybe like just 2 or 3, just to freak out Norman Chad. And then finally, I think you need a reality show. I'd like to see you do Survivor.
Oh, I would love to call Survivor.
Wouldn't Survivor?
They don't amp it up enough. I mean, it's a great show, but that needs to be amped up a lot more.
I agree.
There's conflict going on in that thing.
You got conflict. You got all these challenges where people are fighting each other, and Jeff Probst is like just narrating it like it's a golf event.
Well, he's a veteran. He's a great. That's great. I mean, he's been there for so long, and that show is his show. But that would be cool to go out there and to narrate some of those challenges and to really get out. Now that would be cool. That's a great idea. I kind of like that. I'm gonna have to call Les Moonves and see if he can give me some love. Yeah.
Well, I think Jeff Probst is there for life, but maybe they could spin off and do like a different Survivor, like Black Survivor or something. Something they could create for you, like a franchise show. I don't know.
I had a great idea for Survivor where you take all those cats, those same kind of cats, that same kind of different demographic of the actress girl and the grungy lady and the military dude and the cowboy and blah blah blah. You take them, and instead of taking them to some remote island, you take them and you put them in the middle of like Cabrini Green or the worst project in the country. Ugh. And then we'd really see how they'd survive.
That would be interesting. I don't know insurance-wise if they could pull that off.
and they'd have some hell of a challenges then, though, wouldn't they?
No, that would be pretty interesting.
I'd like that. Yeah.
I want to see you branch out a little bit, but I have a feeling that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I hope so down the road. But right now, man, I'm happy and I'm healthy, and my son is growing strong. So, I'm a happy person, man, and I got people that like me, and that's important to me.
That's good. All right, so listen, you got to come back on right before March Madness. Don't big time me.
Oh man, please. Come on, you know how we do it now, man.
Yeah, you got to come on, and I might take up on your offer to go to Marbury's Hood.
Yeah, let's do that. You'll like it. Yeah,
I think that'd be interesting.
It'll open up your eyes to some stuff, man.
I'm perfectly willing to give Marbury a second chance. I got to think this through because I would hate playing with him, but I got to think about the stuff you said about his background and all that because I don't know, if you're a teammate though, should you really be considering, hey, I should give this guy a break? He didn't pass to me because he came from a bad background. I don't know.
No, I don't mean it like that. I mean it from a standpoint of everything is about connection.
Yeah.
But Steph has to do some internal work as well to connect.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the problem. That's the problem. He won't be honest with himself and say, wow, man, it ain't about me all the time. Right. And I consistently make it about me. I got to make it about somebody else. It's like, I need to delight in the excellence of others and not make it about how I feel. Okay, so what? You're not starting. You make $20 million a year.
Well,
who cares?
Maybe that's part of the problem. I think when you get a contract like that, you think that you're above a lot of stuff that you maybe aren't.
Right.
Hey, I forgot to ask you about your ringtones.
Oh, yeah. I got a little situation going there.
Yeah, do a plug. Give yourself a plug.
Gus Tones. Go to GusJohnsonSports.com. And I got a situation where a company out of California called Big Fish Media, another company in New York, two companies, the Royalty Network as well as Blaze Media, came to me based on you guys saying that I should be doing calls of people's lives.
Oh, that was my idea.
Kind of exciting calls. Yeah, that was all you guys.
Yeah.
Saying that, I'd like to see him do this. It would be great if he could be on this kind of call. So we come up with this idea where we say, okay, let's do fantasy sports calls and make them ringtones where your team always wins the championship. We're going to call the series It Could Happen, Believe. And, when it comes on, you hear your team in basketball and football and pro football, final play of the game for the world championship, and they win the big one. And it's been a lot of fun. We've got some great responses. People seem to like it. The website, it's growing. There's not a lot that we're offering on the website right now, but we're trying to figure out how to give it more content. I think I'm going to maybe start doing some interviews or something when I go places and talk to people and try to slap that up there. If you guys have any ideas, let me know, too.
I just
want to make it kind of cool.
I'm going to clarify. I think my idea for you was that I just wanted you to leave my answer machine message.
Yeah, something like that.
I can't say. I forget what that was. I don't know if anybody else had different ideas, but I just remember writing once that if you were on my answering machine, that would make me very happy. So we're going to have to make that happen at some point. But good luck with that, though. I think that's going to work.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for letting me plug it.
GusJohnsonSports.com. Right?
That's it.
All right.
All day long.
Thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you in March. All right.
Billy,
take care.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
It's tough to follow the great Gus Johnson, but we're going to try. We're going to call my buddy JackO at work, only because after all his disparaging remarks about Alex Rodriguez, it looks like A-Rod is coming back to the Yankees, so I wanted to get his take on this. We're going to call him at work right now.
Hello, John O'Connell.
Johnny.
What's up, buddy? How are you doing?
I can't ask you if you're worried yet because your season ended about a month ago.
Yes, it did.
I don't know how to start
You're not
this.
asking me if I'm worried about 2008 yet, are you?
Well,
it's never too soon, I suppose, in the wonderful world of Boston sports.
I was calling you to, a couple weeks ago, some disparaging, maybe even troubling remarks about you that you made about Alex Rodriguez, and now it looks like he's coming back to the Yankees.
Water under the bridge, my friend. Strong statements made in the heat of the moment, but, in any marriage or happy relationship, sometimes strong words will be spoken, and, people regret them later. So Alex is back in the pinstripes where he belongs.
So that's it. He's supposed to forget all those horrible things you said about him.
Absolutely. I hope Alex forgives me. Yes, absolutely. Any references to she-males, I'd like deleted from the transcripts.
Were you happy with the money figures, considering he wouldn't have gotten anywhere close to $100 million of what the Yankees ended up paying him?
Well, I don't know if he would. I don't know about that. You don't think he would have gotten within $100 million of it?
What team offers him $200?
Well, the Angels might have been in the mix for that. No,
they said they didn't want him. The Mets said they were out. Who's offering him that money?
I don't know. I just don't believe that he would have just hung out there like a girl at a 7th grade dance that nobody wanted to dance with. I think somebody would have asked him for a dance. I think what would have happened is somebody would have offered him short years for big money, like something like $100 million for 3 years. I think that's where it would have gone. I don't think anybody would have made that kind of Manny Ramirez type contract. I don't see it. Maybe not in this day and age. I don't know. The guy's the MVP, 54 homers, 150 ribbies. I think somebody would have come a knocking.
Who? Everybody keeps saying that somebody would come, but who?
Well, just because teams say, well, we're not interested, or we're not interested now. I mean, that's a negotiating ploy. They weren't expecting him to come crawling back to the Yankees this quickly. It's early on in the process. I mean, you tell me by January when the Angels don't have a third baseman, or teams are desperate for some offense, they're not going to go knock on his door, give Boris a call.
Look at you defend A-Rod. It's so pathetic. Look at you.
Of course I am.
Talking about what a great deal it is.
Seinfeld said it. We're just rooting for laundry. He's in the laundry. That's all that matters to me.
Well, we talked about this over the weekend, but screw it. Let's rehash it.
All right.
Both of us were confused that Scott Boras was taking such heat over this whole thing, when really, like, A-Rod just got about $20 million less than he would have gotten because he removed the Texas money and it was basically the same offer.
Well, this is what I understand is last year A-Rod was making about $25 million a year on average, and now starting next year he's going to be making $27.5 million a year.
Right.
And everybody is praising the Yankees for their fiscal restraint, and you really saved a lot of money. I was not a math major, but it seems to me like they're paying more for him now than they were last year.
Right.
And the fact that they were getting $7 million a year from Texas, so really they were only paying him 18, and now they're paying him 27.5.
Exactly.
Now it's only less if you assume that there was going to be a $30 million contract out there somewhere, or they were ever going to get close to paying him. The Yankees themselves were ever going to get close to paying him 30, but I don't think they were going to do that. So by my calculations, they're on the hook for another $9.5 million more than they were last year, and yet somehow they're coming out as brilliant in all this.
I agree. I don't get it. He was making 16 last year, I think, on their books, like 16 or 17, and now they're paying him 27. And everybody's like, Yankees, great job. Woo!
Exactly.
Whoa, you showed him.
They're paying him more money, and they don't have the $21 million that they were going to get for the next 3 years from Texas. I don't quite understand how that was so. I mean, I'm glad he's back. They have a dominant regular season player at third base without giving up any players.
Right.
But all this patting the Hank Steinbrenner on the back, and I wish somebody would explain to me why it is that they got such a bargain.
I think people hate Scott Boras so much that even the hint that he may have screwed up in some way caused everybody to overreact.
Yeah, I think so. It's been universal in the newspapers, on the radio. Everyone's like, "Oh, brilliant! Yankees are brilliant." I'm like, I'm glad he's back, but I don't really see the brilliance involved in this myself.
Well, the one thing that worries me is that now that you have a third baseman, you don't have to trade prospects for a third baseman.
Exactly.
Which opens the door for one Johan Santana.
It's all I want for Christmas. It's all I want is Johan Santana as a Yankee. I'd give up anybody except for Jabba for him.
Really? Anybody?
I would give up any combination, well, not Jeter, obviously, but any combination of the names that are thrown out there of Melky, Cano, Hughes, and Kennedy. I would give up any of those, including all four if necessary. They have to get Santana. They absolutely need a frontline starter.
You would give up Melky, Cano, Ian Kennedy, and Phil Hughes for Santana?
Yes.
That's insane.
In a minute.
I would give up Melky, Hughes, and Kennedy, but not Cano.
I mean, I wouldn't be happy about giving up Cano, but if push came to shove and the Twins really held firm, I would do it.
Well,
obviously contingent on the fact that they could sign Santana to a 10-year deal for $8 trillion.
Well, I hope that the Twins ask for Melky, Cano, Hughes, and Kennedy, and then the Yankees refuse to give up Cano, so it could lead to the Daily News headline, "Just say Cano."
It would actually say, "Yanks just say Cano."
Did you give me the courtesy laugh there, or did you think that was genuinely
No, I thought
funny?
it was good. It was good.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't tell. I thought that was
good.
good.
Was legit. I'm sorry.
Cano's one of those that he's made for newspaper headlines. You could twist it in any direction.
Absolutely. Just for that, he probably ought to stay in New York with the tabloids.
Well, I could tell you as a Red Sox fan, I want no part of you guys getting Johan Santana. I think that is a worst case scenario, and especially like we talked about this over the weekend, but Hughes and Ian Kennedy, like whatever. We the Red Sox 10 years ago gave Montreal their choice of two of the three, of Brian Rose, Carl Pavano, or Tony Armas Jr. for Pedro. And at the time, everybody was like, "Oh, we can't give up all three. It's blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, we're losing." And none of those three guys really made it.
Exactly.
And we got seven years of Pedro. But I just think when you can get a quality guy, you go get him.
And I mean, I've been down this road before when we were in college and the Yankees were pathetic and they signed Brian Taylor and he was supposed to be the combination of Cy Young and Sandy Koufax, and in short, he wasn't. And then the Yanks had these great prospects, including Sam Militello and Dave Island, who never did much in anything. So prospects are prospects. It's all great. The guy, it could be the next Phil Hughes, could be the next Roger Clemens, and he could also be the next Carl Pavano. So you just don't know what you're getting. You know what you're getting in Santana,
Well, if I was a baseball GM, I would go after outfield prospects and infield prospects and catching prospects, because at least it seems like you kind of know how they're going to pan out. With pitchers, they just hurt their arm once and that's it. Like Brian Taylor, what did he get in a fight?
He got in a fight
club?
at a bar or something.
That was it. He's never seen again. Joe Zamaya is lifting boxes in the attic. One of them falls on his shoulder. That's it. We'll never see him again.
Exactly. Far too delicate.
But if Melky Cabrera crashes into a wall and breaks his shoulder, he's fine in 3 months.
Right. I mean, the Yankees can give up position guys because they don't really need more offense.
Yeah.
They definitely need a front line. I mean, if they went out and made all these moves and they run out the same pitching staff they had last year and the Red Sox still have their pitching staff, I will start being nervous already about the 2008 season before it begins.
Well, we signed Lowell today.
I saw that. It's great.
The band is back together.
There they are, baby. Mikey Lowell. I'm sure he'll do just what he did this year next year.
Are you insinuating that was a contract year?
Well, I just think Mike might get a little comfortable now. He's not getting any younger,
Well, if he hits 270 and plays good defense and remains a good guy.
Yeah, he's a clubhouse and fan favorite, so all those guys will like him. They'll be happy. It'll be great.
They had to bring him back. I think they learned their lesson from 2004. You win the title, it doesn't give you carte blanche to change half the roster. You should at least attempt to try to bring as many guys back as possible.
Absolutely. They kept the old gang together again. That's true. Good point.
Well, Johnny, we might as well start a new segment for the winter that we can revisit. Johnny, are you worried yet for the 2008 season? I think that could work.
It definitely could, right? You could keep this going all the way up until April.
How are you feeling?
I feel good now. I'm happy that Mariano's back and Posada and A-Rod. Sure, I feel good. They need more pitching. They definitely do. You feel
good about Jabba being a starter and not having a setup guy again?
Well, actually, I don't really feel good about that. And Hank Steinbrenner worries me. Actually, I am worried. I'm going to go on the record.
I have to say,
I'm worried when my Sports Illustrated comes and it has, Red Sox win World Series, and fans might have to get used to it with their young core of players.
Yeah.
The thought of them pulling off some trade for Santana, I heard they had some prospects for that on the radio the other day, and I was actually had to pull over and start crying. It was very troubling.
I have to say, Hank Steinbrenner has a chance to be my favorite person of 2008.
Yeah.
I'm just looking ahead. The combination of incompetence and arrogance,
and bluster,
bluster, him trying to live up to the boss. I think before everything's said and done, he could make James Dolan look like a success.
Yeah, I have some concerns in that regard myself. Absolutely.
Plus, when's the last time somebody named Hank really made an impact that was positive? Like Hank Aaron was really the last successful Hank over the last 30 years. Like Hank is usually a name for like Hank Kingsley and Larry Sanders.
I was going to say Larry Sanders' sidekick.
It's a name for usually people who are incompetent. Hank Steinbrenner.
I'm trying to think, who are some other famous Hanks through the years? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Except for Hank Aaron, I can't think, and the guy from Larry Sanders, I can't think of any others.
Yeah, well, now you'll think of Hank Steinbrenner, the guy who messed up the Yankees.
Now you're going to get 47 emails. Remember Hank Jones from whatever, some movie or something, you know?
Hey, Johnny, one last thing. I appreciate you still bringing your A game despite the writer's strike. I know not having your writers for the podcast is been a huge setback for you. Are you picketing at any of the areas the next couple of days?
I always do. Yes, absolutely. You know, my extensive work in the Writers Guild, I feel I have to go out there and support my brothers and sisters.
Because a lot of people didn't know during the season you had a team of comedy writers that were helping you out.
It's hard for me to do this without reading my teleprompter. All I have are some jotted notes on a cocktail napkin. So It's a little troublesome for me. I hope the fans will bear with me.
Well, we're going to have to ad-lib this through the winter because, don't write anything down is my advice to you. Anyway, we're going to talk to you over the winter.
Excellent.
Worst of luck with the Johan Santana sweepstakes.
Why, thank you, and to you as well.
Thank you.
You get involved in the mix.
Thank you. Enjoy the Thanksgiving.
Thanks, you too, buddy.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.